always encourage that you must never be the smartest person in the room. That's a big one for me. I always work with people that are already moving, people that already have things going for themselves.
So was it easy finding a market for your produce? I know a number of farmers, sometimes they would go and farm a large produce and they find themselves not having enough market to supply. So for yourself, was it easy finding market, and how did you approach those businesses to say that I have this produce that I'm producing, and how was the process? Did you say maybe come with a sample of what you're producing? Just take us through that process.
So I was very strategic, and I encourage this for everyone. I knew at this scale, at 300 squares, I was never going to be profitable from the jump.
Yes.
I knew I couldn't do things like lettuce and spinach, because those things are, even though if I was working in a cooperative, I was working with other farmers.
Yes.
And we formed a cooperative to be a mass producer of one thing, of one crop to the market. That would have made sense. On a small scale, when you know you have a small scale, when you know you're operating from your garden, you're in the business of PR then. You're not really in the business of profit making through farming. So I knew when I started this business that I'll use this 300 squares, because obviously I'm trying to supply a market that desperately needs hops.
Yes.
Because it's such a niche crop. I still can't make profit margins on this scale, harvesting every 3 months. What happens in the months in between?
Yes.
So I use this farm as a platform. I use it as a platform of marketing to show what I can do as a skill set, to show people, because something like this looks very complex and very difficult to
Yes.
start, but it's really an easy learning curve. The learning curve is not steep. So I use this as a platform and drew attention to myself and what I'm doing. And with that, it brought investors, it brought different types of funding, people trying to work with me, major conglomerates, international companies, international investors, people. When I say to people that there is so much, there's more funding than there is actual projects, is what I mean. So you have to know how you're doing it. When you have a small space, that means you're catering to a certain market.
Yes.
And when you cater to that market, if you don't have the capacity, make sure that you're bringing attention to your business, and then have a side hustle, do other things, but feed into what you're trying to do. From this, I could end up having a 100-hectare
Yes.
greenhouse, if that's what I want to do. That's going to be my mind, and I won't give up until I get there. But I have to have a strategy that lets me get there to that 100 hectares using this little small space with the little funding that I have. So I take interviews like this. I promote myself on Instagram, Twitter. I do every interview I can. I'm in Farmers Weekly, go get that. I'm in Farmers Weekly, I have a whole spread. That's bringing me so much attention, and that's the reason I knew that even if the numbers don't work for this particular farm, I know it'll bring the people that'll help me get to where I'm trying to go. So as much as hops are needed and the market is desperate for hops,
Yes.
at this capacity every 3 months, it's not profitable, and I knew that going in. And so I advise everyone that's looking to go into small scale agriculture to have an end goal and use what they have and where they are currently to get to that end goal. It won't be overnight, it won't be next year, but if you keep working at it, you'll eventually get there.
I like what you're doing actually, especially when you mentioned that when you got in, you knew that it was not going to make money as you just start, And I think as young people, we want instant cash, If you start something, you just want to make 1 million tomorrow and
Exactly,
be rich,
exactly.
And I actually like what you're doing to say that you're using this platform to sort of bring attention to yourself so that you can meet with the right people, you know.
Exactly.
And it also reminds me of the question that someone asked on Facebook, was asking, Guti, is hydroponic system profitable, you know? And I said to the person that I think it's just like any other agricultural business, you know. You have to go in large scale in order for you to see the returns to whatever that you're going to put in there.
Yeah, that is very true. I always tell people, they see this and it seems like it's nice and cool in here. I'm not in the sun. I'm kept away from the natural environment.
Yes.
Outside of this greenhouse, it's wind, it's cold. In here, it's nice and warm. And people think like this is a different type of agriculture. This is just gonna be magically make more money. And I'm sorry to burst your bubble. It doesn't work like that. Hydroponics, aquaponics, aeroponics, whatever ponics that you decide to venture into in agriculture is just a technique of growing. You still need large scale. You still need a lot of money to be successful. You still need staff. You still need people. You still need land. Because above it all, agriculture is a business like any other business.
Yes.
It's only numbers. It's not anything. It's not special. It's a numbers game. If you can get a good enough supply of something and deliver it to market at the cheapest rate, the difference between that is your profit. If you're doing something that's equal to what you actually producing, you are breaking even. If you're doing something less, you are in debt. There's no difference. It's the same as every other business. You are in a business of doing as much as you can to supply a market with as less resources as you can. And the difference between that is a profit. So with that in mind, I know I can't do that on this 300 squares. So I am venturing outward. I am partnering. I'm in different companies now because of this particular farm. So my initial plan to use this as a PR tool is working in that respect. But I do keep a side hustle. I do keep something that keeps money coming into the business.
Yes.
Because until those other businesses and other partnerships work out, I'm bootstrapping myself. But I know where I'm going to. I know the plan I have myself. So like I said in 2016, I have an ultimate vision for myself in the future, and I'm working towards that gentleman in the future.
Would you advise young people to come into agriculture? You know, I always say this whenever I'm conversing with an agripreneur. I always say this: young people, they have this idea that agriculture is for uneducated people, it's for old people. Would you advise young people to come into agriculture?
I definitely would encourage people to join agriculture, especially with the scale in which the global population is growing, the country's population is growing, and everybody moving into with climate change, and that's affecting the agricultural crops with droughts and things like that. There's going to be a shortage of food and food security, and that's a big goal for the United Nations to try and solve. The climate crisis is a big issue, and so people are looking for people who are actively in agriculture. Agriculture in Africa should be the biggest exporter, should be the biggest net exporter. And during the recession, during the COVID period, agriculture was the biggest. It's the only industry that grew because people need food. Not only here in South Africa, they need it internationally, but they are cities. They don't have space to farmland and things of the like. So when you start with things like hydroponics or small-scale agriculture, you are working towards being a major supplier and food producer. And those are going to be in desperate need by the year 2030. It's estimated that more than 9 billion people are moving into urban cities. The population of the world is going to be 9 billion, but there's going to be millions of people moving into urban areas in search of a better life, in search of food, work opportunities. Those people are going to need food.
Yes.
With nobody's going to be a banker, but and an agricultural person. So we need that divide. That agriculture divide to be filled, because food security is going to be a serious problem. Now with hops, which is the main ingredient in beer, I'm looking at drinking security. I need to make sure people are drinking is safe and sound, and initiatives like this are what help them. So I encourage every young person to look at agriculture in whatever sense, whether it's cattle farming, whether it's flowers, whether it's food security, whether it's leafy greens that you can supply restaurants. There's a shortage, and there's going to be an impending shortage. But if you start now, you're preparing for the future that awaits. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. That's great. We're also learning from just where we are that you can't now make an excuse and say that no, I'm in an urban area and I can't do it. You see, here we are in Braamfontein, so it means that if you also have a rooftop or you have a balcony, you can do something there, you know, without saying that no, I don't have land, you know. I was also saying to people on Facebook that this is interesting because we hear a number of people saying that no, we don't have land, but now the innovative ideas like this one, it also solves the problem that people are going to say we don't have land, you know. And that also takes me to the question that I was going to ask you, how did you secure this rooftop?
So the incubator that I'm part of, or that I was a part of, WIBC, with the UAI and Mila Fresh, how I approach them, they speak on your behalf. They help you with a lot of things. They help you with the contractors to build these sort of structures. They pay for it through the various sponsors to help young entrepreneurs set up in a space like this. So they give you the option to choose your own space. If it's in your backyard, they can sort out the contractors to come to your premises and set up something like this. The reason I chose a Constitutional Hill is because it's such a historic area, it's such a historic place. This is where former President Nelson Mandela and Winnie and everyone in the Rivonia trials were kept for a short period of time before facing trial in apartheid. And generations later, their offspring is over here on top of a rooftop, challenging in an industry that's predominantly white dominated, Afrikaans male, through no fault of their own. They own the industry, and I'm challenging, not really challenging, but I'm participating in the same industry with them, with just knowledge that I've acquired for myself. And the significance of a place like this as well is that they're surrounding urban schools around the primary schools and universities. So people come see someone that looks like them actually participate in agriculture, in agri-tech, using all the technological advancements to grow such a niche crop that historically people that look like them aren't involved in. So that also helps me work with Tolokazi, the first African lady in the craft beer industry. She helps me, I help her. It's a very collaborative space, and you grow, and you need a lot more people to grow the ecosystem. And yeah, so choosing a place like this helps in that regard. Yeah.
Wow, that's great. That's great. I didn't know that you're also working with Tolokazi.
Yeah.
She's the first female brewer, right? Black female brewer, right?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, yes.
okay, that's interesting.
Yes.
That's interesting. I like everything that you're saying, man. That we find ourselves here and we're meeting someone who looks like us, you know. That is motivation on its own to sort of encourage us to say that we can also do it, you know, as opposed to always seeing one people or white people doing it and think that it's actually their thing, you know. Okay, so where do you see your farm in the next 10 years?
The initial vision was to see 100 of these such greenhouses growing hydroponic hops, and then we all form this cooperative where we supply to one microbrewer. But through research, University of YouTube, through research, I learned about the miraculousness of hops as a crop.
Yes.
and the multiple uses that it has in tea making, in cosmetics, in pharmaceutical, in healthcare, in a lot of different industries. So I've since expanded my vision, and I've met people along the way, and that's what you get when you start something with a vision. You meet people along the way.
Yes.
And I grew into a different direction where we're working with different universities and different legs of government to actually find a profitable, massive business in how we use hops. And so my initial vision of using this as a PR business helped me grow into such an incredible outlet, into an incredible business, and meeting different people. And now we're doing amazing things that I can't say yet, and that's why I'm speaking in code. But with that, so the vision is still there to actually develop sort of these things and create a curriculum of teaching people how to grow hops hydroponically, creating employment and creating green buildings all through the inner city of Johannesburg, in the dilapidated buildings and rooftops across Johannesburg, as well as in other provinces. That's a long-term goal. I'll get there. But I've been fortunate to grow in a different direction, and I'm still pursuing that aggressively. So hops, through research, I found so many uses for it and properties that are good for things such as menopause, things such as tuberculosis, things such as inflammation A and B. And so we're developing research and making cases for the use of that.
What are the entrepreneurship ventures you are involved in?
So for myself, I'm always curious, and that's what I said at the beginning of this interview.
Yes.
Be curious. So I started this company a few years ago, 2011 to be exact. I look young, but I'm quite old. 2011 exactly. And in starting this company, I've always been curious as to what can I innovate, which industries are in desperate need of innovation, how can I change them, how can I make life easier in the African sense, what problems does Africa have and how can I change them. And through that curiosity, I came up with many businesses that I tried to start, and they failed. In construction engineering, with 3D printing, it failed. Light steel frame construction, it failed. Smart boards, interactive boards at garages, before there was GPS on mobile phones, Google Maps, before Google Maps, it failed. So I just kept failing forward, but never once did I not put the ethos of Afrileap, which is my business, or Envision Digital Agent, which is the main business. I never once did I not put innovation at the forefront. So even with that, I found that a hops industry is in desperate need of innovation because it's unsustainable for future hop production. So in that sense, I wanted to revolutionize or innovate that industry. And here I am today. And so I went into fintech and tried to do innovative things there. I stumbled across various blockchain businesses, and are we doing solutions there? I'm in the fintech space. So it's always about being curious. Even if you don't know, you have the ability to go from zero to competent in any industry,
yes,
as long as you keep putting the hours of just learning. Even if you don't know anything about coding, I don't have a coding background, but I want to get to AI and machine learning and deep learning. So I'm starting with Microsoft Azure AI fundamentals,
yes,
and I'm gonna put in the hours until I'm competent. And from competency, you go and meet the professionals, the people that know what they're doing. You collaborate with them, and that grows your knowledge base.
yes.
So that's why I encourage for everyone. You're never gonna get it right off the bat. You're never gonna know everything. You don't relatively need 4 years of university to be good in an industry. All you have to be is competent.
Yes.
And that's what a side hustle is. You're just competent at more than one thing. You can you see value in something, you become competent in it, and then you trade value for money with that skill. You do things, you do 2 of those, you have a side hustle. You do 3 of those, you have a conglomerate. You do many of those, and then you have many businesses. So this is what I did. Studied in engineering, construction engineering, went into multimedia, got competent at it, didn't really work out. did other things, landed up in agriculture, didn't know what I was doing,
Yes.
but I got competent and I met people that taught me along the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. I'm saying this again. What I always find about entrepreneurs, they're always interested in everything. You know, you always have this idea that you want to touch any and everything.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, that's great. You also mentioned that you have other businesses that failed. You know, but that didn't stop you from moving forward and basically chasing your dreams. What can you say about failure? Because you hear people saying that, no, I don't want to fail. For example, a few days ago, I was conversing with someone and he was saying that he's been trying a number of businesses and he's been failing. And now he wants to start something and he doesn't want to fail at that thing. And I said to him that you shouldn't say that you don't want to fail, you know, because when you fail, it means that you're doing something that you haven't done before. So you should always be ready to fail, you know.
Yes,
So
yes.
what can you say to such a person who say that I don't want to fail?
Failure is, like I said at the beginning, is immediate feedback. It's not a deterrent. It's not someone telling that you can't do something. It means that you haven't become good at what you're doing. It's immediate feedback, and you should embrace failure, but fail forward. Don't fail at the same thing at a different industry.
Yes.
Fail forward. Take your contacts and your networks and move forward to the next level and the next level, and eventually it comes together. It gets to a point where it just tips over and everything just connects and makes sense, and then it narrows down all the things. I used to be a serial entrepreneur as well. I used to be in a lot of industries just to beat anxiety as well, because you are anxious as an entrepreneur, because how's this going to work? Who's going to fund this thing?
Yes.
I'm waiting for this call from this person, but I haven't heard from them in 2 weeks. Those things build anxiety, so I would start another project to curb that anxiety. Just keep it. So I end up with 7, 8 businesses, and none of them are profitable.
Yes.
But it feels like I'm busy, but I'm busy doing nothing.
Yes.
But then you grow, and then you keep failing forward, and then you decide on certain things. One important thing I would encourage everyone to have is a mentor. A mentor is someone that has seen around the corner. You can't, as you're walking, know what's around the corner.
Yes.
A mentor has gone around the corner and come back to tell us what's behind the corner. More than often than not, unless they don't know how they got there themselves, people are always willing to teach you to get to the next level. People are always willing to help you get to that next level. So I encourage mentorship tremendously. I encourage cooperatives, former cooperatives with people in your neighborhood who do the same thing. Start a company under a cooperative and build, share resources, share networks. You will not regret that. Even if it fails, you will not regret that, because your knowledge base and your network would have
Yes.
grown tremendously from that. So that's what I encourage. I encourage mentorship, failing forward, just reading and research, and never giving up. Because for me, failure was never an option. It just means immediate feedback told me I have to do this better, or do that better, or do something else better. And I continue to learn every single day. Yes.
Okay, that's great. I'm sure now we are just towards the end of this interview. Yes. So you mentioned the importance of collaborations, you know. So I just want to know, what are some of the things that you look for when you want to collaborate with someone or with some company? Because they are also, like in anything that you want to do, you also find challenges there, you know. Makes me remember of the time we were trying to form a farming cooperative, and we noticed that some people, they were just looking for quick cash, and you know that it's not going to work like that. You know, you're going to fail a number of times before you get to a point where you say, like, I'm making money. So what are some of the important things that you look for when you want to collaborate with someone, whether a person or a company that you want to do business with?
I always encourage that you must never be the smartest person in the room. That's a big one for me. I always work with people that are already moving, people that already have things going for themselves. I established another company on the side that's in agriculture and hop production and agri-tech.
Yes.
But it was with a company that, so I won one award and they were finalists of that same competition. That means though we are two people that are already moving, we're already doing something, we're already
Yes.
trying to But then I got with them, I contacted them, I'm like, let's work together and open another company with our respective companies
Yes.
to build something, because we have the same vision or the same goal that we're trying to get to. So I encourage people to not just start for the sake of starting with people that are just around.
Yes.
Even though that is a way to do it, you will learn with those people.
Yes, yes.
You will learn about yourself, you will learn about just structures. Go to YouTube again and Google how to set up an effective cooperative.
Yes.
And they'll give you feedback, and then you follow link after link after link, and that will lead you to what you need to look out for when starting a cooperative. But I encourage people to first move with people who are willing to collaborate and move with you.
Yes.
People that have something to put in, some value to put in the cooperative.
Yes.
Not just people that are in it because they would rather do this than be unemployed and don't have the
Yes,
the
yes.
willing or the drive to add value at the end of the day. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. I've learned so much. I've learned so much from you.
So have I.
Yes. So you mentioned that the importance of reading, like, so just want to ask you what books or book you're reading currently. Yes.
So I'm reading a lot of books at the moment. Some are audio, some are self-help books, some are just people that I've seen around the corner as well. Books like Nicholas Farad, just preparing you on Black Swan events. Different books, the investor books. I can't think of them now. The Richest Man in Babylon, things like that. The popular, the big popular ones that you always see infographics about
Yes.
books you should read. Rich Dad Poor Dad,
Yes.
things like that. Those inform, but I'd much rather listen to podcasts.
Okay.
Podcasts are alive action responses to frequently asked questions. Things like this, you learn more from that, I feel. Not more than books, because books are important, because you get to see people as experiences, and success leaves a blueprint. So it is important to read as much and as many people as you can. I'm reading a local book right now. It's about like the big divide in technology and the fourth industrial revolution, and how Africans in particular are missing out in South Africa with that space. And you see it happening with what's happening in Stellenbosch with the funding. It's hardly ever black women businesses that are being funded. So it's knowing about those things and how to close that gap. The book is called Closing the Gap. Yes. Thank you.
Okay, that's great. So the last question. So can you describe your life right now using one song and maybe give us a chorus of that song?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. Top of mind. To even start business, I'm a big Jay-Z fan.
Okay.
So what song would I be singing? I think it's from Black Album. It's my first song. How he starts, he says, "Y'all wanna know why I don't stop? Y'all wanna know why I don't stop? Let me tell you, people, I came from the bottom of the block. When I was born, it was so I was never gonna be shit. Had to pull the opposite of this bitch. Had to get my right. When eyes on the prize, sure I knew I had to get these grips. Had to make moves like a lot of war. Started off selling dimes and nicks. Graduated to a brick. No infatuation. My infatuation with the strip. Legendary like a schoolboy. Crush on every chick. Every shit.
Yes.
I can keep going. I love that song. So it's my first song. He just speaks of like treating my first like my last and my last like my first. So it's basically taking every opportunity and just generally taking it like it's your first shot.
Yes.
He has a clip of B.I.G., legendary B.I.G. speaking at the beginning. He's like, just gotta keep working, keep living, just like treat everything like it's your first shot. Every day I come here, I treat it like it's my first.
Yes.
Like it's the first day. Like if I woke up as that kid that was unemployed and looking for a way out, and I woke up in a farm like this and somebody said, "This is your farm," how would I act? I would be hungry. I'd be sure to make it work. So my first song is a song like that just encourages me to keep going.
It's
And
massive. That's great.
Thanks, brother.
That's great.
Yeah.
So this is the end of the interview. Thank you so much for allowing us to come to your space.
Thank you
Thank you
for
so
having me.
much. You know, sometimes it's not easy for people to allow us. I mean, we are just young YouTubers who started a few months ago.
Keep going.
You know.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for allowing us. I just want to wish you all the best. You know, I want to, when I meet you in the next 10 years, to see something which is bigger than this, maybe
Definitely.
having close to 1,000 or even above of these kind of greenhouses.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.